Welcome to HotSpot. I'm your host, Gabriel Moncau. Today, joining me as he always does, at the top right is Phillip Tran, my trusty co-host, as well as at the bottom left, we have Vitor Vicente, BU23, UPE Director of Recruitment and a freelance systems administrator. And at the bottom right, we have Nick Nee, BU21, UPE Secretary and an Intuit Intern. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Chilling a little bit before the exam craze, I guess.
In the exact same boat as Vitor. Taking my break.
I feel that. This is kind of the last week, isn't it? After this, it's just all downhill for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of a special episode of HotSpot as we approach both the least jolly time of the year of finals and the jolliest time of the year shortly after that. We kind of wanted to do a bit of a holiday special. And what is more fitting for such a time of the year as we look forward to the next year, 2021, that we look back, way back to the past. And I think we should just start with how you guys got started in all of this. So how did you guys get started in tech? What were your interests like getting started in all of it? And how did you end up at BU and at UPE?
You want to take it, Nick?
Yeah, sure. Tech, I don't know. I feel like I was born right in the time when tech was just everywhere, and it was just like creeping. It was creeping in, not exactly as it is today, but it was creeping in to that point. So I've just always been like either on a computer playing some sort of like children's game when I was a kid, and then just sort of just kept track of all that stuff growing up. Never really had a period of time where I wasn't sort of interested in what's happening in tech and all the advancements in anything. And so with that, like my brother is actually a software engineer. So I sort of just saw what he was doing. I was getting pretty interested in that. So I tried a CS course in high school and I liked it. It was fun. It was like basically small riddles that I could do on a computer, which is fun. And so I just applied to college in CS and I ended up at BU.
Good. So I'm sort of in the same boat. I played a lot of video games when I was a kid, and I have an older brother that sort of got me into video games. And at some point I stumbled into Minecraft, and that led me down a rabbit hole of starting to actually develop plugins and mods for Minecraft. And that ended up being how I pay for this university. So,
oh, that's pretty sick. All right,
that's awesome. Yeah, I did not know that. That's really cool.
What's your favorite mod that you made, Vitor?
So for professional uses, I don't really make mods because that's a lot more complicated and it's not really profitable. I make plugins mostly, but on the same way of thinking, my favorite plugin to make was actually a network distribution plugin that would allow you to just have a bunch of servers running just this, and then it would handle the entire traffic of the network in a way that it don't crash anything, which is sort of important.
Would we know the name by any chance? I've done some server management for Minecraft stuff.
No, it was a privately developed thing for the Archon.
Okay.
So it's what they use to handle their network.
That's super cool. And then you just kind of applied for comp sci, ended up at BU?
Yeah, basically.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that at all. That's a really cool backstory. And so you guys ended up at BU, right? You're comp sci majors, you're here. When did you join UPE? And like, how did you guys sort of like hear about UPE? And more importantly, what was everything like back then? Like you show up at BU, what were like your first impressions of everything? What were you thinking? What was going through your minds?
I'll start. So first and foremost, when I got to BU, I never visited the campus beforehand. So I sort of just applied to BU and I ended up coming to BU. So me coming on campus was sort of taking everything in at once. So it's sort of like
everything was in a straight line.
Exactly. I was like, I can't go anywhere. I have to walk like a mile to get to the other side of get to my class.
There's nothing in West Campus anyways, so It's not a loss.
I was living in West actually my freshman year. So I went from West and I just walked like
West to East,
basically an hour, basically like a mile every day just to get my classes.
Hope it kept you healthy.
Yeah, exactly. That was a positive. But from there, I heard of UPE in sophomore year. And it was the first time, it was back when Splash was a in-person thing, and you went to like Nickerson, and there were all these booths, and you went up to people and actually saw them in person in their faces.
Splash is a club fair, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't had the luxury of having that yet. So.
Unfortunately not. We had to hop onto Remo and pretend that we were at a club fair.
Yeah,
I mean, we had elevators, which were cool.
Yeah, it's like
That's
Remo,
true.
but in person and real.
Imagine.
Imagine.
That's
real
crazy.
Remo. That's insane.
Who came up with that? I bet they got a scholarship.
You know what? One thing that they could have made Remo so much more interesting is if you had to wait to use the elevator. You had to wait inside the elevator because they had
Really
like
broke
floors.
my realism.
Yeah, it really didn't immerse me in the experience at all.
To stand in the elevator.
Honestly, when I went to, it's kind of weird that you just kind of discovered UPE at Splash because that's how I discovered it, and I honestly thought it was a frat.
No, yeah, same. Like,
Kind of sounds like it.
I was just walking around, and I was walking with Melly, actually, who you had on last podcast. She was like, "Yo, there's a CS frat on campus," and we were like, "That's crazy. We have to apply to that."
No way. I don't know if that makes people want to apply or like just they think it's a frat, so it's like, whatever.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like it's not a solid combo of CS and frat. And like the first thing we thought of was like that social network scene where everyone's like they're doing that coding challenge, and they're like, you have to code this as fast, and you have to take shots.
You take a shot.
Yes. What a classic scene.
Yeah, you guys do that for UPE, obviously, right?
Of course. Yeah.
On the DL.
Of course.
On the DL. We don't like talking. But yeah, so I just heard about that from Splash. We applied, and then we ended up being like the first initiated class to actually be a part of UPE.
Also, who was around back then? Like, who did you apply to?
So we applied to the founding members. So that's Alan, Rudy, Jane, that sort of core group, Rachel. They're the ones who like thought of the club and made it an actual thing. And then, I actually had Rudy interview me. So shout out to Rudy.
Small world.
Yeah, we had him on our
the
first episode. Yeah. So this would have been what, like 2015 then? 2016 rather?
So that's 2 or 3-ish years ago.
2 years ago, right?
So 2018.
Oh, okay.
2018.
So it would have been later. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, how did you get started with this?
So my experience was a bit different. I also had Splash in person, so I didn't have to
rub it in our
Remo.
face. Jeez.
Guys, we get it, okay?
But I didn't know where UPE was, and I was walking around with 2 of my roommates at a time, which was actually last year, and this wasn't forever ago. And they were both business majors, and we were just sort of just walking around, and I saw Computer Science Honor Society, and I remember perfectly that Rachel and Melissa were at the table, and I just put my name down on the mailing list. I didn't even say anything. I just put my name down and left, and I just went to the events. And I also got interviewed by Rudy, and I got in here.
Rudy's the plug.
Yeah, Rudy is the plug. That is very true.
Take notes, everyone.
And as for BU, I mean, I really enjoyed being on campus. It was my first time in the US for like a serious amount of time. And it was honestly a lot better than what it's being this semester. So I sort of feel bad for you guys that have to deal with like being online. But hopefully next semester or next year be slightly better.
So were you in Portugal before that?
Yes, I was in Portugal.
Interesting stuff. Interesting. You know, one thing I definitely did not realize coming into this episode, everybody on this show has either been interviewed by or interviewed Rudy. Yeah. That's pretty crazy how that works. Yeah, I've heard he's kind of the goat of UPE. Like everybody like really likes Rudy. Like he's really good at what he does.
Yep.
Definitely top tier UPE member.
Will we like put him in the S tier? Is that where he's gonna sit?
Easily. Yeah.
Okay, so you all walk up to this desk. You've got some people behind it, some of the founding members. I mean, Rachel was there for both, it sounds like, right? You put down your name, you walk away, you get an interview, you get in. What were you sort of thinking by the time you got in? Like, were you thinking that this was going to be like a significant portion of your college time? Like, were you thinking that this was a frat apparently? And I mean, how hard was like the interviews? Were you terrified of those? We were a little terrified when we applied. So how was all that process?
So for my interview, it was the first time I was interviewing in person because all my other jobs are like remote. So I'd never sat down at a desk with somebody else. And I remember it was Rudy and Alan that interviewed me. And I honestly thought the interview went really bad, but apparently it didn't because I'm here.
Fair enough.
So I definitely feel like the fear of the interviews. I've never liked interviews. And when I got in, I was surprised that a lot of the friends I had made during CS orientation had also gotten in. So people like Patrick and Justin, and that sort of became my core friend group here at university.
How about you, Nick?
Yeah, for me, so I was interviewed by Rudy, and I think Jing was also there, but I don't remember. Oh wait, no, it was just Rudy because someone came in late, and they just decided not to come, I guess. So it was just me and Rudy. Basically, we were just shooting the shit. He would ask me questions. I did pretty well. Like I finished everything really early, and I don't know. I was nervous because again, like Vitor, it was my first in-person interview for anything sort of remotely like this. But not to brag, but I fucking killed it.
Oh, slow down here.
That's where it's at.
Hey,
But, like, again,
the arrogance comes through.
That's a quote.
I will say that it was the first like round of interviews they ever done, so it's probably like not as intense as it is nowadays.
Yeah.
But like I went out of it, I was like pretty confident. I was like, okay, cool. And then going into like the first meeting, I had no idea what to expect, like at all, because again, CS and frat don't really meld well together. So I had no concept of what we were going to do. But it sort of ended up being this thing that took over my college life. It became like I do work and then I do stuff for UPE, and then it's like that's the big thing for me. Yeah, grateful for that, I guess.
How about we turn this question on to our host here? What was it like when you applied, huh, Gabe?
Bro, UPE is kind of wild. I don't even remotely remember how I found out about UPE.
I probably told you. Maybe it was,
I didn't see it at like the Remo Fair or whatever, anything like that. I pretty sure I was kind of like, I wasn't like a late applicant or anything like that, but I was definitely one of the later ones. I think we have like this little group of comp sci people. We hang out, myself, Phillip, some other people. I think it was Dominic Maglione who first probably found out about it, or Phillip, one of you two, and applied. And then I just sort of heard that they were applying, thought, whatever, I'd apply. At this point, I was applying to like 22 clubs. I just kind of put it on the list as another one. I didn't really realize what I was doing. The gravest mistake of my life thus far. No, I'm kidding. And yeah, I did not really realize what was happening until the day before. It was the day that interviews started. And I had never received an email or something like that saying that I had to sign up for an interview slot. I don't know if that messed up on the back end, not to point any fingers, but I didn't have an interview
really
slot.
Bad, yeah.
I didn't have an interview slot. And yeah, I was literally like, it was the day of, and I remember being in a call with Phillip and Dom, and they were like, oh yeah, we gotta like prep for this interview. Like we're kind of scared about this interview. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? They're like, UPE. I'm like, oh, I think I signed up for that. And they're like, yeah, the interviews are today. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. Good to know. So I kind of scrambled through a lovely website known as the Inquisitor. Very easy to use, user-friendly, very, and managed to find where to sign up, signed up, showed up. Went pretty well. I think I was interviewed by Melissa, and there's somebody else there, but I don't recall who. And well, it was definitely spooky going in. I have to say, I don't know. Can I disclose what's on the interview
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah. So I hate like logic puzzles and stuff like that. I am not a problem solver. I'm actually a business major now. I was going to do a dual major in comp sci and business. I was like, I hate comp sci actually, so I'm not doing that.
Then he chickened out.
I chickened out. That's exactly what happened. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. And those logic puzzles are like the crux of it. I looked at them and I was like, this is a terrible experience. But I somehow still managed to do them and got in. So here we are now. What about you, Phillip?
So I got a little bit of information from UPE because I went to it was right next to some other like CS related club. So I just hopped over to that table in the Remo session with Dom, and it's like, wow, this is not a frat at all. This is just a bunch of computer nerds in one group. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So I signed up for that, got my interview slot. Apparently the back end was working that day. I don't know. Maybe AWS was doing a little hiccup there. But I got my time slot. Vitor and Callie were interviewing me, and to take some words from a very wise man, I fucking killed it. He's, um, but no, I did. I think I did pretty good. I was super like nervous going into it, but I did a lot better than I expected. Going through the logic puzzles, the rope one, dude. What the heck? That one got me stuck. I'm like, to be honest, Vitor, I don't know if you gave me an early out on that one because I kind of gave like a half baked like answer to it. I'm like, wait, what if I did this thing with the rope? He's like, yep, you got it, you got it. I'm like, I'll take it, I'll take it. But after the interview was over, we had like a nice chat about some of the things I'm interested in, some of the things that I've built. That was really fun. I enjoyed that part of the interview, getting to know you folks from the club. And it turns out Callie is really seriously into machine learning stuff. Vitor does some really cool systems admin stuff, and he built Inquisitor. So
In
definitely
future episodes.
yeah, definitely so many cool people already that I've met just from those two. And I'm like, this gave me such a great impression of the club. And now I'm here making episodes for a club that I just got involved with because I thought it was a frat.
I have to, I'm going to take this moment to make a confession. I have a confession to make. Keep in mind, it is too late to kick me out now. It's done. I'm already inducted. I'm making you content. It's done.
Okay.
I was, it was in the interview, and I had like kind of prepped logic puzzles beforehand because for like other programming interviews or stuff like that. I hate them. And I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the rope one actually. I had seen it before, but I was really scared that if I said that I knew the answer, you guys were going to be like, oh, no problem. We have another one, and just slide in a different question. And I was going to be like, oh, hell no. So I sat there for 5 minutes trying to make the most fake, like thinking face. I was like, I wonder what if I burned both sides? What if I did that? and then I just solved it in like 3 minutes. And they were like, wow, you did that really fast. I was like, I don't know. Shocker. Really good at logic puzzles, really good
at this. Oh, I'll mention also within my interview, when we were doing the coding portion of it, I was writing code in some strange combination of Java, Python, and JavaScript that didn't make sense. I'm pretty sure I used const and int as my variable names. So
wow. Throw in a bar in there as well.
I probably did.
Yeah, like these interview questions have been like a huge debate since the start of this club, basically. And we're always going back and forth between how hard do we want these to be? What are we actually looking for when applicants apply? And we always just end up at logic puzzles because anyone can do them. You don't have to have a CS degree or anything. You don't need to know anything about CS. And like we always say, like it shows your thinking and how do you approach a problem, even though it's like anxiety inducing. And then if you get stuck, you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I don't even know. Do I burn 3 ends? I don't even understand.
Just burn it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Burn the rope from the middle.
It's sort of just, we're testing how you approach things. And I always say we don't really care if you get the answer. We just see if you're making an effort, if you're putting in the work,
Yeah. That's interesting. I think that's it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I'd do it better. I hate it, but I don't know how I'd do it better. So I guess I can't really talk shit.
Yeah, it's tough finding the right questions, right balance between, is it hard enough? Is it challenging enough? Are there different paths to find the answer? But I agree. Like logic puzzles aren't my favorite, but what can you do?
They'll prepare you for that Google job that you're not going to get because you're going to bomb it anyway. You're going to bomb a technical interview anyways.
No, guys, all you need to be a software developer is to know how to burn both ends of a rope at the same time. Like that's a real world question.
Just
this
remember
is what
that
actually happens. Yeah.
If some person comes up to you, they kidnap you and like, you better solve this logic puzzle or you're never going to see anybody ever again.
Bro, we're
like
set.
I will end your existence. Now you're set. You know what to do.
UPE prepared us so well.
Yeah.
But that's interesting for sure. So you said this is kind of like an age-old question then. Like, how do you set up these interviews? Were they different when you guys applied? Like, how were they structured?
Sorry. So the rope problem is actually a problem that's been in the interviews since the beginning. So next semester is probably gonna.
I also got the same problem.
Probably gonna have to take that up.
So you're gonna have to make sure that. Sorry. Should we just reveal all the problems to just mess with?
Let's make the job really hard.
Let's make them have to create a totally new set of interview questions.
Yeah. So we basically just have the recruitment committee this time headed up with Vitor. And we sort of just brainstorm, and people just put in questions that they think would be good. We go through them, and I think this year was a lot more streamlined. Vitor just like sent out a doc and was like, put in questions. Because before we had like a 3-hour meeting where we went through every question and we were like, is this good? Does it meet the criteria? Is this too hard? Should we move this to a different section? But I think it went okay this semester. I'm sure Vitor has lots of...
Minus the technical difficulties, I think it went pretty good.
I'm sure you guys will figure out a more streamlined way to do it next semester, but that's how it is.
It's pretty awesome. May I also ask about your roles in the club right now? How did you even think of getting involved in that specific role? And what is your job right now?
So, sorry. I guess I can go ahead. So I'm director of recruitment, has been mentioned before in this podcast. My job is to just make sure we actually recruit new people and to make sure things work. And when things don't work, sort of fix it myself. So I sort of took a weird approach because, like Nick said, in the past, we were able to meet in person and, get all this done. This semester, I was put on a schedule from the beginning, and I was like, we're going to keep to this no matter what happens. And there were places where I would like to have more discussion, but I was like, nobody's going to show up to discuss these questions for 3 hours on Zoom. I'm just going to decide which questions we're going to do and screw it. So I'm hoping I can keep streamlining this. I have one more semester of being director of recruitment, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Don't worry. We're going to develop an in-house machine learning algo to just pluck the right answer, like the right questions.
By we, he means he. I'll be watching.
Yeah.
For me, I am the secretary of UPE. So that basically just means I do all the busy work. And that's sort of been cut down due to COVID. So I'm basically just doing attendance and sending out emails. But before, that would sort of encompass like setting up the events, like calling places. We had social events where we, again, met up with our members and we did things together in person. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Not
Is that allowed? That was outlawed. Wow.
That's in this 1984 world, we're actually not allowed to do that anymore. But yeah, so that's what secretary usually does. But again, I've been designated to just taking attendance and sending out emails right now.
You have a cushy gig right now, don't you? Not too bad a physician to snipe, huh, Gabe?
Well, I mean, hey, on the low end, on the low key, yeah, a little tempted. But that's actually something really interesting to talk about as well. And definitely not because I'm looking to run or anything. How did you guys sort of get into actually applying for these positions? Like, what was the process like back then to apply for positions? And by back then, I mean, I realize for Vitor, this is recent memory. How has that changed over the years? And so you mentioned you have like another semester. Are you stuck with the same position indefinitely? Is that your role until you die? Or like, how does this work?
No, so what we do is, at least from what I gather, at the end of every academic year, we run elections for the big four. So president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. All of these are elected by a majority of the club members. And then these four elected positions pick from the applicant pool for the other ones. So it's internal development, recruitment, and there's two more. I should know these. Yeah. But they pick whoever they feel is better for these positions.
Gotcha.
So I applied for VP. I wasn't selected because there were seniors, which is fine. We'll see how it goes next semester. And then I was picked for director of recruitment instead. That's sort of how I'm here.
Nepotism. Keep that in your minds. Nepotism.
Taking notes.
To be honest, I was on the committee that actually selected Vitor. And even though you didn't get, that higher up position, I really think you did a great job with recruitment this semester, like top-notch work. So Vitor obviously touched all the points. But so when you apply for the Big Four, you go up, like we met in person. Again, I'm going to keep shoving it in your face. We met in person. You got in front of everyone and you sort of just like explained why you would be good for that position. So I went up and I was like, I'd be good for secretary because I'll be diligent and whatever. I'll just say a bunch of stuff. And then they vote, and then you get decided by, you get told that you got it or not.
Like on the spot, like right there?
No, like it takes a bit because they have to count all the votes.
That'd be crazy. Just like look around the room. Do you guys like him? Yeah, we're like, all right, you're in.
Okay,
yep,
good.
Well
good,
done.
good. You're done. How are those other non-Big Four positions picked? Like, has the director of recruitment always been a thing? Has director of operations always been a thing, etc.? Or like, do these roles just expand as the club needs people to handle those parts of the club operations?
I was actually going to bring that up too.
And also, I'm very confused as to what a director of operations does. What operations are directed?
They direct operations, man. What do you mean? All those operations to direct.
I know. So
If I'm right, operations does the events, right?
Oh, okay.
So
which in the past was a lot more of an extensive role than it is right now.
So that was like social and professional events. They would be in charge of making that stuff. In terms of when those roles popped up, I think recruitment popped up after the first year of UPE because we realized that recruitment takes a lot of work, and we can't sort of just leave that to someone on eBoard to take over because eBoard is dealing with other stuff. So I think they made that position. It's already a thing. Okay.
Oh, it's already a thing. Unfortunately.
You got a fact checker beside you?
You got a fact checker.
It's actually a 5-man show, and we weren't aware.
Secret fifth guest? Yeah. No way.
She doesn't want to be on the show, but
okay.
I have someone from the original class, so she has.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's sick.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry. I was joking.
I'm not
that
really
actually
sure
would be an
what's going
incredible cameo. Just saying, this is the perfect episode for that.
No way. This is when you have to do a fancy transition. A new challenger arrives. And it's like, exactly. And then it splits it into like a 5-man display. Yeah.
Oh my god, the production value off the charts.
Slow down there, Gabe. We got a lot of work.
We'll get like I am going to pressure you to give us a 1-second quote mystery guest at like the last second of the podcast, but that's it. All right.
I'll let her know. She ran away because she got embarrassed.
Oh, how sad.
It's all right.
Okay, so apparently for recruitment, I was wrong. That was always a thing. But I think it became a bigger thing these last couple of years. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I don't think it would be crazy if there would be more positions popping up as this club goes on.
Can't wait for the director of media to be
Listen, okay, I was about to say that.
Here's a director of marketing.
Okay, I hate marketing, but consider this, right? Let me just point this out.
Director of media creation, media production.
So both Phillip and I are on the Valorant teams for the gaming club, right? Slight side tangent. And I mean, we made this podcast. I've made a podcast before, and I was like, hey, gaming club president, Joe Kwan, you wanna help us make a podcast for the gaming club, Valorant podcast maybe? And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And I was like, all right. So I showed him all the stuff we were doing. We actually just did a trial run like half an hour ago. Leaked. You heard it here first. Might be going live in like a month. Not a month, like a little while. It's like ready to go.
Nobody watches this podcast. Like it's not gonna be surprised.
Nobody watched it.
Still gonna be surprised.
But so they did that. And then I ran for a position with the BU Gaming Club. And they were basically like, wow, so you do media stuff. What if instead of having one media coordinator, we have 2 media coordinators and you focus on video? So I got elected as a media coordinator for video stuff. And they basically just created that position where I keep doing exactly what I was doing before, but now there's a thing next to my name. Yeah. All I'm saying is I really like making this podcast. I would be fine with coordinating media, this being the media. If you were to look for a media coordinator.
Hey, I think you should have one for video and one for audio. I'm just saying. You know, it's just a suggestion.
That's true.
Do you take donations?
It's pretty complex.
Do you take donations? Nick, do you take donations?
Yeah.
It's not a bribe. It's not a bribe.
No. We're donating to the campaign.
I don't bribe. It's a donation. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind.
Just saying. That's pretty
Should we
funny.
move on to another topic before we crawl, like dive headfirst into the nepotism that we are?
I don't know what you're talking about. This conversation never happened. It's not being recorded or anything.
It's not being recorded. So when you guys got to BU, we talked about UPE, but what about the other tech clubs and organizations around? Like, how have they grown? And are you involved in any of those?
Some classic examples are like the gaming club or like Boston Hacks or like I know CSA. Vitor is technically my mentor for that. So
yeah. Oh, Hack for Impact. True. What else?
Yes, Hack for Impact.
There's like a bunch of other smaller clubs.
There used to be Build Labs and bunch of others.
Your camera's slightly out of focus, by the way.
I'm personally involved.
Yeah.
Am I actually?
Just a tad.
My camera's a bit dumb. Okay. Well, there's an easy fix for that, but you're going to hate me to fix this in production.
Oh my goodness.
It's the only way I know how to fix
it.
That's
fine.
I have a DSLR that I want to set up, but I don't have a tripod yet. Anyway, side tangent aside, I am involved in CSA. I am your mentor, actually. I was supposed to email you last week. I didn't email anybody last week. I'm going to get yelled at for doing that. But it's fine. And I'm also involved with Boston Hacks. Yeah. I actually just interviewed to be the tech lead for Boston Hacks. I doubt I'm going to get the position, but it's really interesting. So yeah, that's my involvement on campus.
I used to, in freshman year, I was in a club called Mobile App Development or something. I don't remember the club
Global
name.
App Challenge, maybe?
Global App Challenge?
It was like
Hack for Impact.
Yeah, like Global App Initiative or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. They just merged with Hack for Impact.
Okay. So I was in that when before it was Hack for Impact. And I joined as a freshman and I thought I would get some good experience, but I feel like they just threw me into the waters too quickly when I don't know anything, like about anything.
That's fair.
So they were like, okay, so build this screen for me, build this front end screen for me. And I'm like, okay, what is a front end?
Yeah.
Like
I do have a gripe with some tech clubs at BU, but maybe that's not the time to make enemies right now.
No, wait a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a freshman, like they're just going to eviscerate me.
At least for me, it just was too much too quickly. So sort of just dropped out of that. And I sort of, I didn't join any other clubs after that until I found UPE, and that sort of just took over.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's kind of a problem with some of the clubs. It's like not enough to help the people there who's interested get up to speed, or at least not in a way that's helpful. Like, I think it's not that there's not people there that don't know how. It's like, wow, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is the methods that they're using to like teach students who are interested in this thing aren't very effective. It's either throwing them in the deep end too much or just like not giving them enough information or enough practical experience with, doing the things they need. Do I name names, Gabe?
I mean, you could name drop, but there's only so many clubs on campus that kind of do stuff like this. So I don't think...
Yeah. But I think it's just that you have all the right ideas there, but you really have to, like, at the end of the day, it's all about the hands-on experience. You can't go through a slide set and expect people to get it. You need to actually walk them through how to do it practically. Like you see this.
And that was
Go ahead.
That was kind of the problem that we faced, was like that the people who need to learn aren't learning very effectively, and the people who already know are getting bored. So you're kind of losing both ends of the spectrum, and you end up with this weird average in the middle that's just kind of annoying. And I feel like there almost needs to be, because pretty much all of these clubs actually really advertise themselves, market themselves as being like super project heavy. Like, we're going to be doing all this cool stuff. And it's like, we have goals and this is what we want to accomplish. So it's like, I feel like you need to either decide if that's what you want to do, then look for people that are already experienced and don't bother like teaching people. Otherwise, aim to be a club that like feeds into those other clubs and be just a teaching club, because I feel like being both just isn't working.
Yeah. I really think it doesn't work.
That's just my experience though.
Yeah. And hey, I've only been involved in a small sliver of these tech clubs, so I can't say this is a universal experience. But for the ones that I've been in, I found the experience to be boring. I'm like, this is kind of like, I already know this stuff. I'm being bored, and I don't really think that they're teaching effectively for people who really need the help. That's just my thoughts, though. I'm just one person on the campus.
No, I think that's a pretty universal problem. I see pretty much everywhere. Like, it's hard to find that right balance, like you guys were saying. between something that's interesting and something that's, reachable, and you can see definitive progress in what you're doing and you feel like accomplished. So that's what makes you keep going back, right? It's like, oh, I'm doing something. I can keep doing more things. But it's hard because there is a huge steep incline in what you can do, especially early on in CS. Like once you get over that really steep incline, then you can have a wider range of stuff you can do before another steep incline shows up. But like, it's hard to, I don't know, be that ladder on that steep incline to help people go up that step.
I tend to agree. And there's some clubs who try to split the club in half, where there's like a set of experienced people, which, I mean, I can only assume that they're doing pretty fine because the people who are very experienced are just killing it, really, making really awesome projects. But it's that other half, the group of people who are just getting into it, that I think is really being neglected, simply because the methods used for teaching aren't very effective. That just comes down to, I mean, maybe it's also quite hard through Zoom because when you're teaching people in person, like if somebody has a problem, raise their hand. I'm like, all right, I got you right there. But if you're doing it over Zoom, there's just so much more friction between hopping from one person to the next that becomes almost impossible, I think. But that has to go hand in hand with better instruction, actually giving those students practical skills and giving them the practical experience, not going through a slide set and expecting them to absorb the information. Because you can't learn just by looking. You have to also actually do this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. I feel like
No, go ahead.
It's hard to understate how tough everything is with Zoom and just doing stuff over video. Like even bringing back this conversation to the club, I feel like one of the major things that this club has developed into is a social club. Like you come into this club and you meet friends and you meet people and you do things with them and you have fun, and it's a nice time to interact with your peers in this degree. But over Zoom, like it's tough. You can't have a nice social interaction like we used to have.
Yeah.
If a club asks me to find like 3 items in my room in 30 seconds one more time, I swear I'm dropping out. I'm so over it. I don't want to find a stapler, a piece of gum, and like a compressed air can and just have to rush over. Like I don't.
Hey, still easier than finding an RTX 3080, right?
That's
I have one in my computer.
No. Okay.
How dare you?
All right.
This man
All right.
camped outside of a micro center though, like unironically. Twice. Oh my God. What a masochist.
I can't believe it. I think you're losing a lot of that social aspect with Zoom. I feel like people aren't as engaged with even the UPE as they would have been if it's just a bunch of people in the same room. Like with your experience, like has that really changed over Zoom? Like I feel like people just aren't as involved as they could be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they were this semester, and me and Nick were part of this. We tried to sort of boost it up like the brownie points. This is the first time we're actually enforcing brownie points, but it's getting to a point, and somebody on the board actually brought this up, where it's like an obligation instead of something people would, want to do. Because I remember going to UPE meetings and I'd have fun. I'd sit at the table with my friends and we'd chat and we'd have chapter and it would just be a good time. But over Zoom, it's so hard to maintain parallel conversations, and there's no way you can have like 40 people talking about the same thing. It's impossible to have a natural conversation.
So weird how in some instances, I actually think doing things online makes things so much more convenient. Like class, for example, I don't have to walk to class. I love that. But when it comes to actual social interaction, it's been so tough just to talk to people. And maybe that's why we had the idea for this podcast, because we're all lonely and we need a social connection. And for those social clubs, especially UPE, Zoom has kind of destroyed the experience a little. It's kind of sad. I mean, we're doing.
I have to say, we have to bring up the induction here, like the actual ceremony to like bring us in. That was pretty. I mean, it hit pretty hard. I have to say, I really felt like I was there with you guys, and definitely wasn't memeing.
I love the music. That was really good.
So I mean, I imagine that hit a bit harder for you guys when you were there originally, right?
Yeah, like we can't do these fun things. We can't just mess around and do funny bits with the club and everyone be on a joke, because on Zoom, like at any point your connection could go out or your sound could go out, and it's just like everything gets shut down to either like everything's working, but you're still online, you're still just looking at one face and only one person's talking at a time, or it's not working at all. And
What a double-edged sword, huh?
exactly, like it's a huge bummer because especially with CS, not to disparage CS, but CS people aren't that social. So to have this social club come together.
You're right, but ooh.
We're dragging them on the podcast because of this.
Yeah.
Like,
This is the best that we can get. I think this is pretty personal, honestly. As personal as you can get without, I guess, being there in person. Just a small group of people talking, shooting the breeze.
yeah. Like, back to the main point of the podcast of like reminiscing. One of the biggest things that this club used to do was have this group Bodeborg event. I don't know if you guys know what Bodeborg is.
Not a clue.
I don't know. Sounds like a cult ritual.
Sounds like something out of Star Trek or something. I don't know.
It's turning into that at this club. It's like it's like imagine escape rooms, but condensed to like a 5-minute version, and then there are like 20 of them. And then you can just go to any room, you do some sort of activity like physical, mental, something like that. And then if you get it, then you like stamp a card and then you move on and you go to a different one.
That
Any
is
percent,
so
no
cool.
emulator speedrun?
Yeah,
Any
like-
percent. I would just, well, it has to be 100%, right? I mean, I assume
I guess.
so.
I mean,
yeah. Else you could just like
or
say,
you
I'm
don't
done.
leave, you're
I'm
just
done.
there.
I
yeah.
rage quit. There you go.
People did rage quit.
Yeah.
That's
That was-
hilarious.
Escape
that
rooms
was
are so
probably-
fun. That would have been killer for UPE.
Like that's the thing. That's probably the biggest icebreaker for this club, and that's where most of the people get their friends. Like the team that I was on Bodeborg the first time are like still some of my closest friends. One of the people is sitting right next to me. She's my girlfriend now. Like that's how crazy this Bodeborg
Yep.
is. Like you're
I'm joking. I'm
I'm
joking.
advertising right now. You're gonna find
Gabe
a
knows I'm
girlfriend
joking.
at
I
this
swear.
Bodeborg.
I
All
swear.
right, let me figure out who this is. Let me go find who your teammates were so that I can introduce this guest
Right.
on the podcast. One
I
second.
don't know
keep
if you're
talking.
gonna find it.
Just start naming names. Just start naming names, Gabe. We'll get
I
on
have
the
an
best.
idea of
naming
who
everyone.
it might be.
But like the fact that we can't do this event, and like after this event, we also all went together and got dim sum together. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's-
solid.
like this,
Yeah.
it's just so wholesome, and you actually build this community together. And the fact that we can't do that anymore has, I feel like,
Yeah.
really impacted how this club is formed right now.
Do you think Epsilon,
Wait.
Epsilon is just gonna suffer? That's our class, by the way, 2020.
Yeah.
Like the people inducted this year, gonna suffer socially because of this. Like I feel like we
Yeah,
are.
like you mean to
honestly.
tell me that college didn't used to suck? Like
No,
it
college-
used to be like fun?
No, college is always terrible. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Honestly, I felt like it's a bit of a dampener. In some ways, it's gotten more convenient because I don't have to go to class because they're not taking attendance. That's great. But in other ways, it's been such a huge dampener in terms of social connection. I feel like if the pandemic wasn't happening right now, I would have made so many friends in UPE.
I think like I've been watching this new class, and definitely like I've seen people come together and make friends. Like I've seen that happen. But like that's sort of, it's again limited by everything that's happening. Like you can't talk to people that you wouldn't usually talk to in the club. Like I know you guys are your own little group, but you guys are probably only talking with each other and messing around. Like in person, you can go around, talk with other people, meet people that you probably wouldn't have talked to otherwise in class or anywhere. And yeah, it's just really sad for me to see the state of things. But I feel like once this pandemic is over and people are back in person, I think it's going to easily jump back up to being what it used to be.
Gotcha. Well, I'll have you know, Nick, that I make friends by looking at their GitHub profiles, and if they don't have a green square for every single, day, then just not it.
Well, discarded immediately.
Discarded
You
immediately.
mean you don't have a filter? They don't even show up on my GitHub. If you don't have a commit every day for the past at least a decade, if you weren't coding when you were 7 and committing to GitHub daily, then like I'm not interested. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like that's universal. I feel like everyone does that. But
Yeah. Situation is definitely tough though. We're all kind of figuring out how to get through it. I think the clubs especially are trying to figure out how to make it more interesting for people and how to find
I feel
ways
like,
around it.
overall, people just not as engaged with clubs as they were in the past. I mean, how are other people doing with like their projects and stuff who have been inducted? Like,
That's true. And can we actually just talk about the projects for a second? Like, was that a thing before, or is this more of a thing this year, or how is that all working?
So we started this, at least from my knowledge, because I didn't do this. I was inducted into UPE. I had no like requirements or anything. I was just sort of, popped into the club and that's it. Thankfully, it worked out. But starting with last semester, and that was actually the first class I helped. I wasn't director of recruitment at the time, but I did help them. And we sort of made projects mandatory. And our reasoning for it was like, we want you to feel like you're doing something for the club, because being dropped into a bunch of people that know each other and talk to each other and all that can be a bit, I'm an outsider. But if you contributed to the club in some way, you sort of feel like you belong. That was the idea. I don't know if it worked, but it was the idea.
Yeah, I feel like I belong now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like that stuff is so dependent on, I guess, the individual person. Like, if they get involved in these projects, then they're going to feel like they're a part of something. But if they're like kind of freeloading, then it's just going to be whatever.
Yeah. I'll sort of give a historical perspective on why we have projects now. So when this club first started, it was just like the initial group of friends just making a club because they wanted to make a club. That's what it was initially, just a group of friends. And then the next class, we sort of took an initiative to be more of an honor society. So we're focusing on like, are you worthy of being in this sort of club? Do you have like this?
Worthy?
Yeah, right. Like you up that interviews thing. You're making sure that everyone has the cojones, basically, right? And then after that, with the next president, we sort of transitioned into being more socially focused. So then our club started focusing on more like social events, making sure that everyone's communicating with each other. We're hanging out like outside of clubs. And now with this sort of this presidency and this sort of new chapters, we're trying to focus on rounding everything out and making this club more of a club. And we're actually doing things rather than just being together and hanging out. And so we decided the best way to do that for a CS club, especially to get experience, is to do projects. So if you have projects, you can basically say you're worthy enough to be in this club. You're hitting those academic things that we wanted early on. You're getting that social aspect, working in a team, and like interacting, and also just put stuff on your resume. That's something we always wanted to be a priority in this club, that you can join this club and then you can put it on your resume and then you can brag about it. If you just join, if you put this on,
I have been.
Yeah, if you just put it on your resume and they're like, "Oh, what do you do here?" It's like, "Oh, we don't do anything. We just sit in a Zoom call and we talk about the club for a bit, and then
we're there."
Yeah.
We joined like 3 years ago. We joined.
Yeah, like we want to make this club meaningful. We want this club to have purpose, and we want people to join. Like that's the thing. We want people to be like, "Oh, I want to join this club." People seem to having a good time. They're doing stuff. That's cool. So that's why we're sort of adding projects and adding these requirements so that
the people who are getting involved actually want to be involved.
Exactly. Right. So
that's a great theory. How has it worked out
in practice for you guys? Has it?
You
been
guys tell us.
Yeah,
you want our honest, unfiltered opinion?
Yes, I do, because I'm gonna have to run this again next semester, and I want to know how it went.
Hey, I like the idea of having projects. Actually,
I do.
And hey, we made something, and we really liked doing this stuff. So I think like people who are getting involved in UPE in this way by making projects definitely have the guts to keep getting involved. But I think it's very difficult to also filter out people who are just kind of along for the ride and aren't really contributing. This is something I've discussed with other people who were inducted into this class. They're like, some people are kind of just freeloading, and it's very hard to filter that out, honestly. I'm not really sure how you would work with that. If you have any thoughts about that, Gabe.
I don't know. The whole project thing is really interesting to me. I will say, as somebody who just, showed up to BU, freshman applying and whatnot, when I was looking at all the tech clubs, I was looking for project clubs. That was something that was really interesting to me about Hack for Impact. They work with not-for-profits, and they make stuff for them. Like a nonprofit will come to them and say, we need a program or a website or something that does this, and then they'll figure out who's best to do it, and then they'll do it. There's plenty of impacts, or plenty of problems with Hack for Impact, but the idea was really cool to me. That was more interesting to me when I was looking over the clubs than UPE, honestly.
It was
What
too,
UPE?
but
What?
it
Yeah.
was as well initially, but I got jaded, so I'm here now, and
Well,
I'm really
Hack for
enjoying my time
Impact,
with UPE.
that's its own can of worms. We can talk about that for an hour.
You don't want to make enemies here, Gabe. Like, slow down. Like, this is
man.
going out to the internet. You can't take this back. Well,
We
you
love
can.
all the tech clubs. We love
all of them equally.
Okay, I love all of them equally. If they were my children, I'd pick UPE. But
Wow.
but
Would you say this is a Hack for Impact podcast?
I could not see this being a Hack for Impact podcast. I think the
That's
unique
true.
way that UPE is set up is very conducive to this type of media creation. Honestly,
That's true.
Like,
But let me
would
just
this
finish
be a
about the
Boston
projects before
Yeah,
I
go
forget.
ahead.
Yeah. So regarding the projects, I like the idea of the projects. I'm not sure I love the ideas of the project as a requirement to join the club. I think that what's cool about Hack for Impact is, for example, you don't even need projects going in. You don't need to do a project when you get there. It's more like that's the culture of the club. They do projects. That's just a thing. Like, you don't join the club unless you want to do projects. That's the kind of people it attracts now. So I think that if UP could be kind of like that, that would be really cool. I think that when you make it a requirement, it becomes a bit more of a chore, kind of, as you guys have said.
Yeah.
We aren't a great sample size, though, like Phillip and I. For one, I just do projects all the time. I am academically deficient, but projects not so much. So I made a podcast like a month ago, not a month ago, I guess it must have been like 6 months ago, when high school was finishing. That was my first podcasting experience. And I was very much looking forward to make more when I got here. So this just so happened to be a good outlet to do so. I definitely would be making a podcast somewhere if it wasn't here. It just so happened to end up this way. So I don't know how much of a unbiased sample size we are, but what were you going to say?
We're the most biased sample size you could possibly pick. Like,
Probably.
I'm super into making stuff, especially if it has to do with audio, because I'm trying to hone my chops there. And I think the unique way that UP is set up is very conducive to having a product like this. Like, you have a bunch of people who are awesome at what they do, all in the same space. You better believe that they have some great stories to tell. And here we are. Like,
Can I also just ask Vitor a question real quick?
Yeah.
When we pitched this to you, we actually had like a presentation. So for anybody that doesn't know, for the projects, we had to talk to some people in the club. I think it was always you, right, Vitor? Like, everybody talked to you.
Yes, it was always me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to tell them what your idea was, and they would sort of, I guess, give you feedback or tell you if you could do it or not. We didn't get so far that they told us we couldn't. But so, Phillip and I, being the tryhards we are, made a full Google Slides presentation, and we had proof of concept, UI art made, and an intro GIF. And so we just walked in there with our big dicks and just was like, "Hey, Vitor, we have a project." And it was really fun. But
slapped him down on the counter.
We actually talked to, I think it was Melissa and Savannah about this, and they were they had never seen that slide or anything like that. And some talk of it would happen in the back end. So how did that sort of project stuff go for you guys? How did everybody, I don't know how much of this you want to say, but how did everybody sort of pitch them to you, or what were you expecting? And what did you think coming out of that situation and all that? Because I figure we were probably a bit of a unique case.
Yes, you were a very unique case. I didn't get any other presentations from anyone, but I was honestly surprised, and I was going to tell you guys yes, because I thought it was a good idea. To be honest, I sort of did this a little bit more unilaterally than I probably should have, because I sat down with everybody, and some people wanted to partake on our current projects, which is always a yes, because the projects are already under works. A handful of people had ideas for projects. I had a fundraiser in Among Us, which was the most I don't know if I should allow this. But I ended up allowing it, and they actually did an amazing job planning it out. And I genuinely think that if the e-board wanted to, we could run that fundraiser really easily. Awesome. But the idea was just to, sit down with you guys, and you guys tell me what you want. Thankfully, didn't have to say no to anyone. Most people were moderate about what they asked, and you guys did an amazing job in asking for a completely off the topic thing. So
that's awesome. All right, let's see who really listens to this podcast. Vitor, trash every single one so that we can get some feedback. I cannot believe that Vitor would say this about our project. We worked so hard on it.
Yes. Now we know exactly what our demographic is. Perfect.
Yeah. Now we'll know. Send all complaint emails to vitor.vicente@bu.edu or something like that.
It's just vitor@bu.edu.
Okay. We're just the platform. We have no platform liability.
No, it's not our fault.
This is all Vitor's fault. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I need to be careful, but I think everybody did a great job. I know who you guys were talking about the freeloading. I'm not really going to say names because I'm not allowed to.
Of course. Yeah.
But Nick is crashing laughing.
It's okay, Nick. It's okay.
Nick was the freeloader.
This entire time, Vitor was actually the freeloader.
Yeah.
We were freeloading. It was us, Gabe.
Too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Sorry to tell you, Vitor, this was an extended interview. This has been a 2-year interview. You didn't make UPE. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have to now manually sort a binary tree. Go.
I've done all that. I passed my 200 and 300 level classes. I never want to hear about binary trees again.
This is pretty good. Yeah. So about that freeloading, yeah. Honestly, it's tough to root out. You don't want to cut anybody because, we're human and we have empathy.
Yeah.
And you never know somebody's situation. So
yeah, we had a couple of people that were a bit completely off-putting, and that looking back, I should have probably said something and cut them at some point.
Have you ever had to cut people from UP? I mean, I assume it comes a point where there's somebody who's just completely not a culture fit, and you just have to.
There is, yeah. We have some people that
we haven't cut anyone based on culture fit, but just based on lack of activity in the club.
Yeah. Exactly.
Activity
there's
probably
people
makes
that
more
don't
sense,
do anything at all, and we're gonna cut I don't know if we are because the board didn't decide on anything yet, but there's a couple people that just did nothing all semester.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it's tough.
No communications, no nothing, and that sort of.
All right, Phillip, this has to become a daily podcast, so we're safe.
Yeah, you're right.
It's done.
You know what?
10 hours a day.
24-hour live stream.
Yeah, it's just constant.
Even when we're sleeping, we're live streaming that.
I think with this project, this is, even though it's not in the realm of CS, this is the exact type of project that we want from these project requirements, something that's contributing to this club. Like Vitor was talking about before with that Among Us fundraiser, it's not CS-ish or at all, but you're still doing something that shows that you're going to do something in the future, right? It's sort of that return on investment that you're going to contribute something now, and when you're later on in this club, that you'll have that sort of structure and strength of the club that you can take stuff out of it when you're a senior and stuff.
Yeah. I think I might be like Gabe in this respect, but I really wanted to create something that wasn't just a one-off and that was going to die immediately after I was finished working on it. So what better way to do that than to make it an ongoing commitment for the rest of my time at BU, right?
Yeah. We have the contract already signed and sealed.
Oh, crap. Wait, is this legally binding? I didn't realize. I didn't have my lawyers look over this. We've made a mistake.
Yeah. It's been so fun doing this stuff, though. And I'd love for other members at UPE to take on their own projects as well. I mean, we have an amazing talent pool for sure. Just imagine if they put their mind to something really good. Imagine a UPE game or something. Imagine. It's not going to happen, but if it did happen, it would be nice.
It would.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from though, where it doesn't have to be a technical project. You don't have to recreate the Inquisitor, though someone should. But
don't worry, I'll do it. I'll do it, Gabe. Just not right now because I'm lazy.
It's such a shame we can't talk to the creator of the Inquisitor. It is what it is.
So, dude.
You actually did talk to him. Ironically, you did actually.
Did we?
Yeah. Rudy created Inquisitor.
Did he really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. No, this is when we find out the
stock just plummeted.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. No, it's fine.
My original project was actually to do an Inquisitor facelift. Then I realized I don't want to do that. So here we are. Yeah. It's Inquisitor is good enough. It works. It's not completely dysfunctional. So it's is it really worth investing my time in this? What people
I love how those two sentences followed. It works. It's not completely dysfunctional. That is the standard. Yeah. It's great.
That's the standard. That's probably why Student Link still looks like it was made in 1990.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure Martin Luther King used it.
At least Student Link knows how to email me.
Yeah, Rudy actually made Student Link.
No way.
Rudy's just ancient. He's created all the tech for BU, actually.
He's actually made everything.
Rudy was actually the founder of Microsoft. He was the third missing founder.
Here's Rudy in 1860 at the Computer Science Conference.
Here's Rudy building the Great Pyramids.
Yeah. Classic Rudy.
Classic Rudy. You know, he gets involved.
We should have
in all
asked this man
stuff.
for an autograph while he was here. We made a mistake. It's too late now.
He probably would have written it in ancient Sumerian.
Of course. I mean, that's classic. That's probably his first language, maybe. That's funny. That's crazy. Okay, so I think, okay, we've kind of talked about how we got to this point. Now we're at current day. This is where we are. This is BU. What the heck is going on here? What are the current things that you guys are talking about? What are the current issues? What are the current successes? We've mentioned that things are kind of wacky in the Zoom era. But what are you guys trying to do or hoping to accomplish or anything like that? What is the current state of UPE?
I would say that this year is being a moot year. So we will not take this year too much into consideration in terms of the future of the club because of how crazy everything is right now. But so basically next semester and probably later years, it's basically just for now refining what we have right now and making sure that everyone's having a good experience with the club and is taking something out of it. In terms I don't know. I feel like things that happen drastically in the club sort of come up soonish. It's like a short-term goal. If something major happens in the club, it's oh, we have to fix this, and then we fix it like that. But I don't know. And I'm leaving next semester, so in terms of the future, you got to ask Vitor on this.
So I have a political agenda in regards to UPE that I will not divulge because other UPE members mostly watch this podcast and I can shoot myself in the foot too much. But of the recent future, I actually really want to refine Inquisitor because I agree Inquisitor looks really bad.
It's like a bootstrap website, so
it's a weird way to spell functional, but barely.
It does do the job. And in our defense, the emails weren't our fault. BU stopped our emails. They literally blocked every email coming out of upe.bu.edu. So
reasonable, good,
reasonable.
Yeah, obviously,
of course.
So, but that's my next semester. I really want to streamline recruitment. So when I leave recruitment, it's done. That's my objective. I know it's not going to be done, but I need to be slightly happy with it. As for the whole club, I mean, we sort of have to get used to online presence because, to my great sadness and the way that things are going on in the US right now, I have my serious doubts about when this is going to end.
This is when we figure out that I'm just never going to see people ever in my college experience.
My answer is just always in 2 weeks, guys.
This is a joke.
The vaccine is in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep.
Any given point, it's 2 weeks after that.
Don't worry about it. It's literally going to be perfect. Don't worry. It's going to be World War Z. Either way,
it'll be in your hands day zero. Everybody,
you will be able to inject it yourself. Actually,
yes,
everyone will because everyone
DIY
and will take it when it comes out, and no one will.
Exactly,
it doesn't work, and this isn't the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, not a single person.
No, it's going to be perfect. It's flawless rollout. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry about. Just kidding.
I can't wait for Bill Gates to chip me with the vaccine. Yeah. I welcome Daddy Gates. You know what, Daddy Gates? Just take me. It's fine.
I mean, Google already knows everything about my life. I feel safer knowing that Gates knows everything about me because he's like a dad that will protect me. Don't worry about it. I upload everything to Google Drive. I'm currently using 910 gigabytes of storage. If I keep going, I'll get to about 1.5 terabytes before my first year at college ends, probably.
Jesus.
That's so absurd. That's so unreasonable. I say that, but I have a 2 terabyte hard drive that's almost full, but yeah,
here's the thing.
Still pretty absurd.
Is it true that we get Google Drive storage for the rest of our our EDU accounts for the rest of our life, right?
Yes, and you get Google Drive infinitely for the rest of your life as well. So
Google's going to know everything about me. I don't even care at this point. I have everything backed up to Google Photos. I record at 4K 60 or 30 because I honestly don't care about how much space it takes anymore because it's just uploaded right to G Photos. Seriously.
So unreasonable.
When I go for my interview at Google, they won't even have to ask me any personal questions because they'll just know it.
Yeah. So it says here you had ice cream on this day 2 years ago.
That is correct. Yep.
What did you think of that ice cream? I know what you thought, but I'd like you to tell me.
Of course, yeah. I remember this moment very vividly because actually in Google Photos, it gave me a recent memories thing, and I clicked on it and I remembered that was a great pint of ice cream. You know, perfect vanilla goodness with just little bits of Oreo that perk your tongue.
Can we just have every episode be about big tech? Like we could just rat on about big tech like every episode.
Yep.
Like we did that first episode. Like we could just do that forever, over and over. Okay, but back to the topic at hand though. We did talk, okay, so we kind of mentioned state of UPE, kind of not really a good showing for what the club is like, right? Because this year's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I've had the impression that most clubs are kind of at a really weird stage where they just kind of are mediocre because there's just nothing you can do online that's really exciting. And people just are not involved because, you know, it's online. It's like, I'm just going to play Minecraft, put the Zoom meeting in the background, whatever. And it's really tough for engagement. I feel so bad for you all, like the officers in the club, because they're trying their best to get people involved, but it's like so hard for anybody to stay focused right now. Like my attention span is so bad that I literally don't attend CS lecture because I can't pay attention.
I don't remember what my professor looks like anymore. It's kind of a problem.
I don't even remember my professor's voice, except for Vahid. I love Professor Vahid, yo. Any class that says Vahid, like as a Durange bar, instantly take it.
So here's my question then, right? So we know that Nick is going to be leaving us soon. UP, like grand scale wise, won't be here to witness the future of this glorious empire being shaped. I know, single tear rolls down, dramatic music, fix it in post. We'll do that in post.
Yeah.
But here's my question then, Nick, since you won't be here, what changes would you like to see made? Or like, what would you think would be a good future for UPE? And Vitor, without disclosing your Russian spy private agenda, what are you thinking the future will hold while you're around?
I hope that this club becomes sort of a big thing, and sort of the thing. If you go into CS, we're like, oh, you're in
CS? Yeah, UPE. You have to be in UPE. Like
that's the goal, right? To just be this crazy thing that everyone wants to be a part of. And how we get there, I have no clue. That's up to everyone else to decide.
You have any suggestions for that, Gabe? Like marketing wise?
Oh, plenty.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I do. I just create content. That's actually, okay, so on the DL, that's kind of what I'm planning on doing with the gaming club, and part of the reason why I'm the media coordinator. It's not just about actually, this is what we used to sell this podcast too, was like the whole marketing angle. But
we use the same slide deck, by the way, just changed everything.
Well, not the same. Okay, you didn't need to tell them that. Guys, we're min-maxing, okay? We have a very small budget. It's a team of 2. We're working through it. But it's not just about the podcast. We're thinking, in a corner over there, but I bought some lav mics, like some clip-ons. I have a tripod for my phone, and we're just going to run around and we're going to shoot content. We're going to do like showcases of like the players on the different teams and like try to just generate media. Yeah, exactly. Just generate media for the club. So I think stuff like that for UPE could be pretty big too. Having events that like can be showcased to the outside, because you can't really showcase like the professional events or stuff like that. You kind of can, but like not really. Something that's more approachable to the public, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge. Just getting people to know what UPE actually is and know what they're up to. Like, this is a project that they're doing. This is so cool. Or like, oh, they were hosting an Among Us night for the entire thing, fundraising for like, I don't know, laptop for every kid or whatever. Like those things that get the name out for UPA, so people actually know what it is, will drum up interest for even like for people who are interested in computer science and want to join the society.
And the podcast isn't a hook. Like it helps. Like once you know of UPE and you go and search it up, that's what can like keep you interested. But people aren't going to like find out about UPE from HotSpot. HotSpot is like what you see once you know about UPE and you want to learn more. So we still need some sort of like gateway thing, I think. Sorry, you were going to say something, Nick. I kind of cut you off.
I totally forgot. It's fine.
We need a job. So we need just somebody who's insanely good at marketing. Just like always be closing, always plugs UPE. We just need to do what we need to do is we need to have a bunch of flyers out on campus that have a QR code and make a huge ARG, and anybody who finishes automatic UPE member.
Just create
Yeah,
a ton of
do it.
content, mate.
Do
Like
it.
have
Do
like
it,
a
you.
mobile AR app and you point it up to buildings and they turn into UPE. And I don't know, like we need like everything, content everywhere. We need phone cases. I want masks, everything. It just says
Yo,
UPE
a
on
UPE
everything.
shirt though? You guys got to have merch though. That's
They're
huge.
used to
A
that.
yearly shirt.
Yeah, there was.
Wait, you guys don't have merch bro? We need merch. Like somebody get on this stat.
Okay,
We've
we're getting
had
merch.
We've had indefinite plans to make merch, but that's always been
Okay. Well, you know what, Nick? I'm not taking excuses. I am personally going to get y'all some shirts.
do it.
Media coordinators. This
Design
counts
a
as
logo.
media.
We'll put it on a shirt, send it out to everyone.
Yo, it's gonna be great.
Can we make hotspot merch before they make UPE merch? That'd
yeah,
be a
you know
really-
what? That would be pretty sick. Hotspot merch. You know what?
Funny.
That would be pretty sick.
Get some artists from like one of the other clubs to do like vector drawings of us with like a cup of coffee or something, and then like some random guests in the background or something.
More likely, it's probably 3 cans of Red Bull, and 2 of them are crushed because you really can't get through this problem set right
Listen, it's all magic, all right. You can't see behind the curtains, all right. It just happens. It shows up in your inbox. That's just
Oh,
how
man.
it is. That's pretty
Hey,
fun.
I'd do
Okay,
anything for a T-shirt. That's why
I
I,
agree.
have this.
so is that the future then, Vincent? We're gonna get t-shirts. That's how you fix UPE.
Well, I do agree that their merch is necessary, and there you go. There's the UPE.
Ooh.
I've always wanted one of those hoodies, but I wasn't in time to get one.
Well, you're about to be, Vitor, and it's gonna look better.
I've had some ideas because like stuff like Stream Elements is a good way to set up a merch store that can fundraise for us and where we don't need to like bulk order shirts, which has always been the issue from what I gather. Like you never know who's interested and how much they want to pay, etc. So stuff like Stream Elements fixes that. But yeah, merch is a good idea. There's also a bunch of other stuff that I want to, or I would like to see UP doing. And I feel like our alumni network is growing a lot with like the end of this year. Because we had our original class leave 2 years ago, or a year and a half. Last year we had a bunch of seniors leave, and for big companies, like I think we have somebody at Apple, we have Rudy at Microsoft. This year we have Benji at Amazon. I think Savannah's going back to Microsoft as well.
Yep.
Yep.
We're getting a bunch of people out there and going into big positions, etc. And this is a good way to spread the word.
You're right. We just gotta build that alumni network. Hook them back to UP. Give us a talk, please. Come back, Rudy. Come back, Benji. Come back, Savannah.
We've seen Rudy is happy to do that. Like I'm sure anyone that's an alumni right now would be happy to come back, like help the club in any way that they can.
No,
Can we just have Rudy on every episode?
You know
Is
what?
that
Just
okay?
make him. Just replace me with Rudy. It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, none of us can compete with Rudy, so it's just like it's Rudy.
Rudy will make
I will
it-
say though, Vitor, I will say though, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I have a feeling it will happen. Here's the play, right? You have some merch that's member only. So you have to be in the club to like get this merch and stuff like that. You have some merch that's open to the public. You get like people from like some of the art clubs to like collab with you or something. They make like actually fire merch that people want. And then you get like, I don't know, it'll be really hard, but I'm sure you can find some talented media coordinators somewhere to help you do this. They're,
Yeah, I don't know where you would find them, but
You might
like
be able
I
to
would
find
look
one.
on the podcast, because we get a bunch of talented people here.
Podcasters are pretty good. I think the BU Gaming Club has one. But anyway,
They have two,
and you
actually.
shoot like a Supreme style video with like crazy shots and like a trap remix of somebody like putting the hoodie up and like walking in the rain down like slow mo down Com Ave and I don't know. You do some crazy shots like this and then you get it out somewhere. I don't know where, and then it just says UPE at the end.
And this is what you do. Ready? You inflate the price. How much would you be willing to pay for it? First of all.
Personally, like $20 or $30 for a hoodie.
All right. So inflate the price by at least 3 times. And then what we do is we set up
on sale. Wow.
This is what we do. We set up a fake designer brand that we have collaborated with called something or other. Just have like a storefront for it, make it look super legit. People will pay out the nose for it.
Actually, though, like make the UPE logo like super like sleek and something, and then put like some generic motto under it, like greatness starts here, and then just put that on like a Supreme hoodie, and you're done.
It's amazing.
That's how you do it. It's a shame. It's a shame you guys don't have a media coordinator.
Yeah, I don't know who
I
can
guess
make
it'll
this
never
possible.
happen.
Just saying,
nothing
but
can happen.
the director of marketing basically does all that right now. Just putting it out.
Okay.
Oh,
Who's the director of marketing right
We
now?
know who to talk.
Lindsay.
We know who to talk to now.
Yeah, you can.
Hey,
It'd be weird
Lindsay.
if they suddenly just showed up in like a ton of episodes so that we like cozied up to them, huh? That'd be kind of crazy.
That would be pretty weird.
Anyway, Crazy how that works. So, okay. So we've talked about UPE. We've talked about how you guys got here, what we see in the future. We talked about some of the other clubs. What kind of like, there's got to be like some shout outs or something you want to give for the other clubs. I know we haven't been involved. Nick hasn't been involved in like a ton of them. It's been more like UPE has been his thing, but like even just like hackathons. I mean, like that's something huge. Like everybody does. We just got involved with Boston Hacks and it was really fun. So what are like some opportunities like that you guys want to kind of like shout out or be like, this is a really cool thing that more people should do or that you guys did or anything like that? Or it could be internship opportunities too, anything like that.
Definitely Boston Hacks. Everyone that I know in Boston Hacks or has participated in Boston Hacks has said it's a great experience, like in and out. Whether you're participating or you're making the event happen, like I've only heard good things. What else have I done? What else have I heard of? UPE, have you guys heard of that?
No.
That's
Wait, what's that?
It's just
unless there's merch, I'm not interested.
It's cool. Yeah, I guess not. I won't talk about it then. I will mention this is kind of lame, but the CA, if you want to be a CS CA for any CS class, is a good thing to just get some side money, help out the kids, bolster their CS.
Nick
External
stares off to the
interference.
distance. Nick stares off to the distance. He laughs.
There's definitely not somebody holding him at gunpoint. Like, say this right now.
Yeah. That's all
I heard a chuckle. We'll get you on the episode at some point.
I will find you and I will get you on the podcast.
I'm really curious about who it is.
Okay, I'm going to go back to stalking. Phillip, just run the show.
Okay, it's all right. Go ahead. Anyways, boys, how about you,
Actually,
Nick?
I had a quick question for Gabe.
Victor?
Oh, yes, please do.
You have a separate. How did you know as a part-time system administrator? I'm genuinely curious because I don't advertise that.
No. First of all, it was I who knew that.
Okay, how?
But I do know where you got it from.
How? You know, I know a lot about you, Vitor. You'd be very surprised.
Do you actually?
I know a lot about
I'm
you.
worried.
I know a lot. I know you live in Lisbon, first of all.
I don't. I live in Boston.
He's going to pull out like a huge stack of like papers from under. He's like, let's take a look at these notes. That's a good start, Phillip. That's good.
I know that you know OCaml as a freaking sophomore.
I do. I learned it last year as well.
That is pretty cool. I know you're quite partial to a Firebase for some reason.
I am.
I've always used Heroku.
I blame Rudy for that one as well.
Firebase is good though. Just that I don't know it. I know you speak French. I know you speak Spanish.
Yes and yes.
Limited or working proficiency.
Limited to working proficiency, you're right.
You guys found my CV somewhere. I don't know where.
I know that you used to work for this gaming network with at least 1,000 concurrent players. And you made plugins for them. I know you were like on a 10-person team that made some articles about aviation.
That is also very true. Nobody actually knows that. I don't even know if that's on my CV.
Some sort of website where you could like put up information about yourself so that people can like sort of like
LinkedIn.
Like,
I forget I have a LinkedIn.
So they can like sort of like link in with you. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Dude, we could call it LinkedIn. No way.
I know.
You could even write on your description. Like it could even say in your description, freelance systems administrator. Wouldn't that be great?
Fair enough. In my defense, I don't use LinkedIn. I don't agree with the idea of LinkedIn. It's just sort of something that you have to have. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, so that's how I knew you were a sysadmin.
Okay, fair enough.
That's also how we knew that Nick worked at Intuit, and apparently to give the interns cars.
Yeah, but I was remote for that, so I did not.
They still gave you a car though, right? So you could drive to get some groceries.
Yeah, hopefully.
Of course.
Into it.
That's so funny. Okay, so opportunities, clubs, other things. Yes, you mentioned. Wait, what were you going to say? You said. Oh yeah, you said CAing as well. That's what you were sort of ending up on. Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty good. I think Dom is looking to do that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Dom from episode 2.
Yeah, it's a good time. Help out some youngins. Learn about
youngins.
Good time.
So I'm partial to Boston Hacks, mainly because I'm part of it. So you should definitely all come to Boston Hacks. It's an amazing time. And to be honest, I only hear good things about the people that partake in it. So I also agree that CA is a good opportunity. I actually have looked into that. But you sort of do have to butter up the professors a bit because a lot of people apply.
Okay.
Yeah, guess
So-
I'm not going to be able to be a 112 one.
Yeah, I'm
'cause
not
I
a
don't-
CA then. It is
Not
what
a
it
CA
is.
for 112 because I don't remember what the professor looks like or sounds
You think we
like.
can pivot this? I really think this is a good time to pivot this podcast to being with professors instead. Phillip.
You know
I
what?
think it just has to happen.
That would
it's
be
a natural
great.
progression.
Imagine if we had Professor Vahid on here. Well, you don't know Professor Vahid, but he's
I
great.
don't.
I feel like
He's
that would be
awesome.
good. Even as a joke. Like that would be a nice.
That would be a nice thing to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be.
I know I can link you to some professors that will definitely show up here.
Oh, that would actually be awesome. Please do that.
April
That'd be
1st
great.
episode. We just replace everybody with professors because we all know academia is a joke. Haha, it's so funny.
Oh my God.
Haha.
How reasonable.
I know.
Yeah. And clubs are also a good opportunity. Like I always wanted to like partake in the gaming club because I played way too many video games for my own health. I never really got involved, but a lot of people say good stuff about it. Benji is a part of, I don't know if he's under the gaming club or if he's the
I
Smash
think it's a
Society.
separate thing.
It's a separate thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know you
Yeah.
guys were part of the gaming club as well. And I know they used to have like chill nights where they just all get together on campus and play video games. Which
Unfortunately,
sounds
I
amazing.
only play to win. There is no chill.
No chill.
No chill at all.
Unfortunately, now I am contractually obligated to say good things about the gaming club, so I can no longer speak on this topic.
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, no, the gaming club is there. It's pretty fun.
Honestly, yeah. Must be really fun to lose every time you head into a CSL match, right?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, no, I love. Sorry, which Valorant team are you the captain of? The B team?
Yes, because B stands for business.
Oh, yeah. Which Valorant team am I the captain of? Could it be the A team? I don't
Yeah.
remember anymore. Never mind.
The A stands for
important.
absolutely trash.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that, you
yeah.
got it. It says it right under a logo in like
It does.
Comic Sans. Could you imagine that's like the team branding?
That'd be amazing.
Uh,
I'd
okay,
love
that's
that.
funny though. I agree though. I had a really fun time at Boston Hacks. I want to go back and do it again. I would also love to run back end production for that. I've tried to get more into production in case you can't tell, and that would be fun. But that's like a year down the line or so.
Well, there are plugs, a lot of plugs into Boston Hacks. I got in with a plug, and I'm sure there are other. Actually, I don't know if we have anybody else on the Boston Hacks team at UPE right now. Do we?
I know we have a lot of alumni.
Yeah, that's true. And I think somebody came in this year's class that's also in Boston Hacks, although I don't remember who. And I'm going to get trashed about this because I should definitely know everybody's names by now. But yeah, definitely a great opportunity. And they have logistics team and marketing team and literally a bunch of teams that you can be a part of if you don't want to code. So there's always good opportunities for that.
Yeah, I
sure.
don't want to code, bro. I'm so
Never
sick.
again.
I'm sick of typing, bro. The problem sets have destroyed all of my passion for programming.
It is interesting how the timing worked out. I joined a computer science honor society and then immediately realized I fucking despise computer science. So isn't that great? Like that's awesome.
That is so cool, dude. Do that again, except this time
With business.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up as like a I don't know dance major. Who do we have? That's like a piano performance major. I forget.
That's
Lindsay's
Lindsay.
piano
You know,
performance.
Was a dance major.
Mm.
Your boy Rudy. Your boy Rudy.
Oh no way!
Oh,
He's crazy,
was on
dude.
dancing as well.
he's cracked.
Dude,
It's my friend Rudy. He's
Okay.
taken and he's absolutely cracked at dancing.
I can't believe like we were in the presence of like a god, and we didn't realize
Well,
it.
is it easier to name things that Rudy hasn't done?
It actually probably is.
That's crazy.
Wow, I can't
I
believe
feel like
this.
I need to send him like a gift basket now and
I can't believe
apologize
this
for not like
man-
kissing his hand and bowing when he joined the Zoom call. Like,
I can't believe this man was such a prodigy, and I just thought he was a regular old dude at Microsoft.
He was really humble.
like, bro, slow
He's a
down
great
here.
guy.
This man's
Great guy.
GPA is higher than the amount of classes I'm taking. I'm taking 5 classes. How is it possible?
Okay, so let's bring it back to you guys now. That was the future for UP. What is the future for you guys? What are you guys doing moving forward? I mean, Nick, you're getting ready to graduate. You interned at Intuit. Is that something you think you're going to go back to, or what do you guys see for your futures?
Yeah, so I got the return to Intuit, so that's what I'm planning to do. Thank you. After I graduate. After that, who knows? We'll see. Life's crazy,
That's a quote. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. Life's
That is
crazy.
a
That's
quote.
crazy, you know. Vitor, how about you?
So my future is a bit more boring because I still have 2 years of university to get through. I want to see if I can get into the BA/MS program, but my GPA is literally 0.001 below what I need to.
Good. Great.
So, and Snyder did tell me, like, you need to have a 3.5, sorry. So we'll see how next
Wow.
semester goes. But I kid, I really like Snyder, though. He's a pretty cool guy. And besides that, I don't know, I guess keep going with UPE. I definitely think this is going to be the most like involved on campus I'm going to be. Try getting a summer internship. So far, literally 0 responses. So that's always great.
Great.
But yeah, I guess that's my future. Now, I'm going to turn it on you guys, even though I'm not the host. What are you guys going to be doing?
He did the Uno
Why am I
reverse
even
card.
here? Just have him host.
Slow
Bro,
down.
what is this? I feel like we got asked this last time, didn't we? Did this happen last time?
I think I turned it on you.
don't remember.
And then you turned it on me, so that it got really meta.
That's true. What are we doing? Okay, yeah, we did talk about this last episode.
In the
So I'll
short
keep it
term,
somewhat
let's
brief.
talk about it. Like, what do you want to achieve next semester? And then what do you
Your
achieve
goals for college.
after college?
Goals for college?
College and then after
I don't
college.
know. I'm surprised I'm still walking this earth at this point. Like it's already 18 years in. Like, bro, if I make it to 22, it'll be a miracle. But okay, so I kind of do a lot of project-based things. It's kind of my thing. That hasn't always worked out in my best interest on everything else, mainly academics. So I'm kind of worried. This semester was not very difficult because a lot of the classes I'd taken before, I mean, it's like first year writing seminars, and it's, I mean, a comp sci class that I took like 2 years ago, essentially. So I wasn't really trying very hard, which is kind of why I was able to join 22 clubs. But next semester, yes, well, you know it. But next semester is kind of a different deal. Next semester I'm taking 5 classes, and none of them I've done anything like that before. So I'm a little worried. My goal for now is just to try to not only maintain, I have to maintain the projects that I've gotten into already. I don't think I'll have a hard time doing that, but I want to keep growing the amount of stuff that I do and the amount of connections I make every semester, because that's something that I really messed up in high school with. I got very complacent. I got involved with like video game design stuff, and I competed in something called TSA, the Technology Student Association. And that's all I did for like 3 years. And I was just like so happy in my little bubble, and I didn't really consider branching out. And when I did junior year and I got involved in like robotics and film production and this other stuff, it was really cool. So I'm trying not to make that mistake here. I want to keep doing many new things every semester, as opposed to just keep doing what I'm doing. So that's pretty much my goal. I don't really know where to go from here, but it's also not next semester yet. So that's like a later kind of problem. I'll figure it out as I go, I guess.
Yeah. Tomorrow or next semester's problem for next semester is you, huh,
Yeah.
Gabe? Honestly,
Yeah.
for myself, I absolutely love doing podcasts. It's kind of been a dream for me to do some sort of media creation in college. At first, I thought about vlogging, then I realized how boring I actually am. And I definitely have a face for radio. So here I am. Oh, this podcast has a video portion, doesn't it? But don't worry, everybody's going to listen through Spotify. Anyways, circling way back, I bought a ton of audio gear. This is my way to use it and return my investment a little bit, even though I'm getting absolutely no money off of this stuff. Wow, where was I? Anyways, my goal is to keep cranking on with the UPE podcast, do another podcast with the BU Gaming Club, which Gabe has already mentioned. And honestly, I'm just probably going to stick to 2 podcasts in terms of what I'm doing here. I think
He's an honors college man. He doesn't have the time.
I don't know, dude. Honors college, actually, I don't think it's too much of a time sink, honestly. I feel like my experience is very similar to other students. We just have more interesting liberal arts classes. You know, our seminars are like really good, and our writing class isn't nearly as boring as you guys. We go in depth into like one area of study in our writing classes, and same with our seminars. So I'm totally in love with that portion of the class. Honestly, going to continue cranking on my 2 podcasts, working on more music. I am in a rock band that broke up over the summer because 2 of our members, including me, went off to college. So we can't really play together. But I'm still working on producing that album. Hopefully should get released by next year, spring. No promises. Gonna sound great, hopefully. Other than that, gonna continue playing for the BU Gaming Club as a B team captain. For Valorant, honestly, make as many connections as I can in UPE. Maybe get some ins into some companies, do some internships over the summer, and just honestly enjoy my experience here and not get too in over my head on everything, but also try out new stuff. Stop caring about academics too much and live. And after that, who knows where I'll go. Microsoft, I'm kind of partial to. Google, I'm partial to. After I'm done with college, I do want to do the BAMS thing, but hopefully my grades are going to be cut out for that.
Solid plan.
Yeah, I'm a business major. I don't do work. So,
I know.
it is what it is.
I know. My roommate's a business major. I thought honestly that he was a eyebrows Reddit major, but turns out that's not.
That's me. That's just our concentration. The actual major is titled business.
So business in a concentration on browsing Reddit. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's okay. We make up for it with green boxes on GitHub. Like, it's fine. It's basically the same experience, really.
Gotcha.
That's funny. Okay. Well, I think at this point we went through the history of like some of the tech clubs, especially UPE, how you guys got started, how we got to this point, where we are going moving forward. I think we've kind of told the story. Since this is a laid back episode, I'm just going to narrate what I'm doing and check my notes. I don't know where we go from here.
To see where he goes from here.
Do not narrate me. Okay, no, but I think we've kind of told most of the story. What do you guys think of everything that we've talked about? I like these sort of looking back episodes. This is mainly what I did with an old podcast of mine. I say old, like 6 months ago. Patent pending, where I basically just like interviewed people from like different areas of my school. Like there were the film people and the art people and the music people, and they talked about their experiences and how they got started and where they see themselves going. And a lot of people were like, it was really good to like look back, and they liked like reminiscing about that stuff. So I thought we'd do that for one of these episodes of UPE. And I guess to close out, is there anything now that we've sort of looked at the whole story that you think we've missed, or that you want to like shout out, or something that sort of jumped out at you now that we've gotten a chance to look back at everything? Kind of a toughie.
Not regarding UPE, but I don't know if you guys were told this story. This was a story I was told during my orientation about BU that I just found way too funny. Apparently some years ago, I don't know if you were already at university, Nick, but some guy in Warren Towers had a huge python, like an actual snake, in his dorm.
Okay.
And you're not allowed to have pets in your dorm, much less a 2-meter snake. And apparently it got loose, and it was just slithering around Warren Towers for like 2 hours until it reported it to the police.
And how did you deal with a large 2-meter programming language? Like, how much even is 2 meters?
That was terrible.
How much is that in freedom units? Like 6 feet?
All right, I'm putting out an ad for a co-host. I can't do this with you anymore. I'm sorry. That was the final straw, Phillip.
All right, I'm sorry.
Nick,
any funny stories at all with your experience in college?
I am not the person to ask. I have probably the worst memory out of anyone that I've ever met, probably because I don't remember anyone.
All right.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I will say with UPE, in terms of other events that we had, like I think our white elephants that we usually do during the holiday times have always been a blast and just crazy nonsense. There was a house party in the very first, that was our first social event. That was crazy. Anyone who's
I'm guessing you don't speak of the house party. That's the first rule of the house party.
Don't speak of the house party, yeah.
It was a fun time. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. Yeah, I don't know. It was nice to reminisce before kick the bucket from this place.
You're not dying. You're like 22.
It feels like I'm dying. I don't know.
All the greats die young. So maybe Nick is one of the greats.
It's true. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I think with that, we've rambled on for an hour and a half now. We can kind of get ready to close out the show. Do we have any closing thoughts, comments, any shout outs you want to give at this point? Like specific people that impacted you on the way up? I think we'll just all unanimously shout out Rudy for being just a god amongst men. Definitely. And yeah, anybody else that you want to give a shout out to?
I want to find out who's next to Nick.
I'm really tempted to as well. Can you
I've been
please
looking
give us
over
like
the
a
UPE member
Wait,
list.
is she still
I don't
there?
know.
Yeah, she's here right now.
Okay, you don't need to show up on camera. Can you just give us like a quote?
Like,
Oh, hi.
That's your quote.
That's fine. I'll take that quote.
Want to say something?
What do I
I don't know.
say?
Do you want to say anything?
all right.
No? Okay.
State your social security
Nothing?
number,
All right.
please.
I'll take hello. Yeah,
Hello.
hello is good enough.
I
All
don't
right.
We got a
recognize that
hand.
voice.
That's more than I thought we'd get, honestly. So
Anyways, I'm going to be running that through a very advanced machine learning program that's going to analyze
we should have
the
an
voice
answer in
match
2
with
to 4
somebody.
months. It's okay.
Don't worry about it. I'm cranking on it with the BU High Performance Computing Club, man. We're just going to use a supercomputer. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, they exist. I forgot about them.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
Nobody.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
What do you mean? What do you guys do? Nobody's from there.
Oh, I thought you were in the club. You just said you were doing stuff with them.
No.
I mean, as a meme, but like, I thought you were in the club at least. Oh my god, you're so unreasonable.
No,
Okay.
not even close, dude. I'm like,
Great.
what are you talking about?
I think Dom is in that, right? Maybe
Dom is in that.
thinking
I think they talked
Okay,
about the
great.
Ryzen processors. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
We got rid of the CCX architecture.
Could you imagine
allowing them
talking to
have
somebody
lower
about
latency
these
between
things?
cores? I mean, you probably could. If we had Benji on the show, we could trade blows about talking about architecture. And then he would be
I
like,
would not be there for that.
yeah. Then he'd be like, I made that processor, and I'd be like, wow.
Yeah. Here we have the creator of the original processor, Rudy. Used to be known as Alan Turing.
I do want to thank you guys and shout you guys out. You guys have been doing a fantastic job with this podcast.
Hey, we kind of have to because Alce.
That's true.
Alce will be into relative obscurity. You know, nobody will know who we are. Nobody will.
We
like
actually
us.
hate this, but we have to because it's
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It is really fun to make, and I always say this. Anytime somebody like reaches out about the podcast, that is like the greatest thing to hear is when somebody likes the content you make as like a content creator, because that just makes you want to make it more. So really appreciate that.
It's definitely like lit a fire under UP, and it's gotten us a second wind. Definitely, I feel like.
Do you think
That's
that
awesome.
this is going to make us look more favorable than the rest of our class, or perhaps make the rest of our class feel like they have to contribute to UP
You get a
in
little
a more
bit
meaningful
that
way?
donation that you were talking about earlier.
That little donation that I was talking to you about. So, Nick, let me ask you a question. You know, like, if you were to have, you know, what is missing from your setup at home? You know, what is missing?
Oh yeah.
You know,
So first
What do you
of
want
all,
for Christmas? Wait,
Yeah,
let's
what do
do
you
that
want for
before we
Christmas?
leave. What are we all getting for the holidays? I know this man camped outside of a micro center for his gift, but like, what are we doing for the holidays? Let's close out with that.
I'm going home because I can, and I will be. Like when I go home, I'm done. I'm done college, and then I have like a solid 8 months where I get to just do whatever. That was going to be on traveling, but since that's now illegal, I am now going to find other pursuits in the meantime.